The last day in a place, the last day of the trip, that's the real test. If you're feeling like you're relieved that you're finally going home, or you're feeling like, oh, that went by so fast, I wish we could spend another day, week in this place. That is the test whether that trip was an amazing one or whether that was just so-so. How did Slovenia do on this test? Let's find out. Hello again, this is Sunny Escapades. I am Sunny and we are talking about my trip to Slovenia to capture the fall colors. This is going to be the last part of it because we are at the last day of my trip in Slovenia. If you have not listened to the previous ones, not watched the previous vlogs, you should watch them, and also you should subscribe to the channel so that you can keep watching content like this, which is always about travel. So let's start with the last day, and if you know me, you know that I'm going to talk about food first because I am kind of not obsessed with the hotel breakfast, but I notice things and I like to compare things and I observe and give them ratings and stuff like that. So for me, the best hotel breakfast that I've been telling you about so many times is that in Athens there was a hotel called Heritage Hill which had a really great buffet breakfast which had actually enough Greek dishes, proper Greek dishes like Greek salad and other Greek dishes in the buffet. And the second best breakfast that I had was just previous day in Slovenia, which was in Hotel Bohin. That also had a beautiful buffet, a big room and a big breakfast room as well, and they had pizza slices and pies and nice coffee, lots of desserts, lots of other options. So that was also a very good breakfast which you can see in the previous part of this vlog. And on this day I'm going to talk about more about breakfast because this was, it was one of the best ones. So I got about 6:30 by alarm and then did my normal shower and stuff and then went down to the breakfast room, which was like a restaurant just by the side of the reception counter, like a nice long restaurant. And the first thing I noticed was that there was no breakfast. So I had to ask somebody, and fortunately there was the same waiter who had served me the previous evening at dinner, and he spoke very good English, so I could ask him like, where's the breakfast, am I in the wrong place? And he said, no, take a seat and I'll bring you the menu. Like, okay, that's new. So I sat down, he brought me the menu. It was the same menu as last night, the dinner menu, the full restaurant menu. And I said, so okay, what can I order from this? He said, you can order anything you want. That is another new thing. So table service, and I could order anything I wanted from that whole menu. And you know Slovenia, food is expensive, but at this time breakfast was included in the hotel room. So I could order anything and I could order as many things as I wanted. So that takes the cake. And on top of that, I could also have something cooked for me. So other than, normal cereal and all that kind of thing, I could also have something hot cooked for me. So I talked to him. He said, okay, I told him like I'm vegetarian, so can I have eggs or something? So I'm vegetarian, but I do eat eggs, so that's why I could have eggs. And he said, yes, sure, poached eggs. I said, sure, yeah, poached eggs are nice. So he got something made by the chefs which was especially for me. It was made of poached eggs. It was not just poached eggs on a toast or anything like that. It was like a proper dish, and let me see if I can find the video to show you that. It was a proper dish which is made based on poached eggs. It was nice and creamy, smooth. I had to put some salt on it, but other than that, it was absolutely wonderful. I don't have the words to probably describe how nice this dish was, but let me just say that if I go back to Slovenia, I would make sure to go to Skopje Loka as well, just so that I can go to this restaurant again. Even if I don't stay in that hotel, I will just go to the restaurant and have that poached dish. All the food that I had in the restaurant was really nice, good quality, whether it was cooked or something ready-made, it was all great. So I had that poached egg dish, I had juice, coffee, latte macchiato, and also a yogurt and fruits. So all of that was good. The juice was actually freshly squeezed juice right there by like on the at the moment, and not from a bottle, and everything was top quality and top taste. And I think I ate a little bit too much, which doesn't always happen at breakfast, in the hotel breakfast. So that way, I think if we compare this with the Heritage Hill, they are both good in different ways, but come on, sitting comfortably while somebody brings you food that you want, and then they just can bring you as much as you want, and it's all good quality, amazing taste. I think it takes the edge a little bit from the Heritage Hill. So let this be the top spot, and when I go next time to someplace else, then we will talk about that breakfast and see how that compares. So breakfast, absolutely amazing. After that, just went back to my room, did some writing and stuff. The checkout here was at 10 o'clock generally, but as is my habit, I ask for a favor if I need to. So I had asked them, is it possible that I can have an extra hour and check out at 11? And the guy at the reception said, yeah, sure, fine. So that I had done previous night already. So I had another extra hour for free. So this is my advice to you. If you need something, if you want something, ask for it. Might get it. If you don't ask for it, you will never get it. So yeah, after that I checked out, and then the time was to go back to Ljubljana. There also I had done the same thing. My time for giving the car back was 12 noon, but I had asked the lady if I can have another extra hour. I had asked for 2 hours, but she said for free she can give me 1 hour extra, and if I do 2 hours, then they will have to charge me more. I said that's fine. So I didn't need the time, I just wanted it to be a little bit easier on me, so that if I'm a little bit late, it'll be okay. So I left at 11, and it was about a 30 minutes drive from there, not very much. This was the last leg of my journey. Okay, so you know how things work. I have seen so many Hollywood movies, and when it is in the beginning of the movie, if there's a cop who says it is my last day before retirement, or there's a thief that comes out of retirement for a last job, you know things are gonna go pear-shaped. You know that shit's gonna hit the fan in this movie, because this guy is not gonna retire very peacefully. So it was the same thing with me. I was feeling like this is my last leg in this country. I don't want to get pulled over, don't want to lose my way, I don't want to have a flat, I don't want to hit the curb. So I drove very, very carefully, paying attention to all the speed limit signs and everything. Fortunately, it was not like a movie. It was all eventless. Nothing happened in the whole 30 minutes. I got to it was like weather was really not really good. It was very foggy, a little bit of kind of wet, humid kind of climate, but it was okay to drive. So if you don't drive too fast like a rocket, you're okay. So I just took everything easy. The only thing that happened which was not perfect was that when I got to the airport itself to return the car, I kind of wasn't in the right lane to get into the parking. So I had to go around and then come back, and this time I could go into the actual parking. It was not a big deal. It was like maybe another extra 5 minutes of driving and no other issues. There was not much traffic on the roads. There was some, but this Slovenia airport is not a very busy airport. The Ljubljana airport, it was very few cars, and roads were all smooth, easy, so no issues. So I parked the car in the spaces that they give you, backed into it properly and everything, locked it, took pictures of all sides of it, inside, outside, front, back, everywhere. There are two reasons for the pictures. One is if they claim later on that I damaged the car, then I can show that I did not. Second thing is that later on, if I find that I'm missing something, I can find the pictures and then see whether I left it in the car or whether I left it in the hotel, because when I check out of the hotel, I again take pictures of the hotel room, all the shelves and all the things, all the drawers that I have opened, and the bathroom and everything. So that's like what happens is that instead of having to go back to those pictures, because I'm taking the pictures and the picture taking is making me go into all those corners, I never leave anything behind. Okay, before this, I have sometimes, there was one time I left a laptop charger back in Isle of Man, I think it was, and then I had to get it shipped back because I could not buy it again. It was like 90 quid or something. So because of the pictures, I'm a little bit safe this way. So I took pictures of everything, including the petrol tank, because this was the deal that I would return it with the same amount of petrol as I had taken it out with, which was 6x8. So 3x4, 3/4 of the tank, which I had done. So after that, I just went in and returned the key. This time it was much easier returning the key. If you remember, it was long wait and everything when I was taking the car out. But this time the girl was there. I just handed her the key, and then she said, "Sure, petrol is there. You took care of the petrol." I said, "Yeah." And then, "Any problems?" "No problems." I said, "When the deposit is gonna come back?" And she said, "Yeah, we'll check the car and then we'll return the deposit in a short while." So for me, before I got home, that deposit was back. It was like maybe 6-8 hours it took. So by evening, I already got the message that I had the money back in my credit card account. It has to be with a credit card, and they don't let you pay. They take it out of the deposit. So it was the whole rent and the e-vignette, which is the Slovenia toll roads. So that done, then I stayed around the airport a little bit because I wanted to go back. And if you have watched the first part of this vlog, you remember what's the easiest way to get into town. The cheapest way to get into town is to go by the shuttle. Just the easy and cheap. So 12 euros they charge you, and they will drop you anywhere in the Ljubljana city. Okay, so I booked the shuttle. Again, the guy said the same thing. He was waiting for the Paris flight to come in, and after that the shuttle will go. That's fine. So while I was waiting for the shuttle time, I just looked around. There were a couple of shops there for t-shirts and all. There were no new t-shirts, but there was another shop which had scarves and stuff. And my friend Roberta, who I travel with sometimes, her birthday was coming in 4 days. So I had planned to buy something for her from Slovenia. So I bought her a nice scarf, like nice silk scarf. I don't know why you don't find them in UK, but if you go to Europe, you can find these scarves, which are not very expensive, but they are so smooth. Like the silk is so smooth, it just passes through your fingers like butter, so smooth. In UK, you can't find that quality. So I don't know why. But anyways, I found that. I would not say the price in case Roberta hears this vlog. But it was not very expensive. And I asked the lady to just tie it and then show me how it's supposed to be used. And she's like, "Yeah, fine." And her favorite color is red, so I got her a red scarf. That was some time, and then after that, my shuttle was there by the time. So this time I did not have the shuttle all to myself. There were lots of people in there. So that took a much longer time. Boring, did not talk to people as well. So that made it a little bit, well, they were there in their own company. So I don't like to butt into other people's circles. I am an introvert, yes, you guessed it right. So I asked the driver to drop me at the Tivoli Park. Tivoli is a big park in the middle of Ljubljana. It's a really huge park. Lots of trees, more like a forest than a park. Lots of trees. There's a little house in the middle of them, and lots of benches and stuff. So this was November, so things were slightly chilly, cool, but not really, really cold. So now I thought, I want to fly my drone here, but can I fly? This is a city. There are people around, so I'm a bit shy about that. So ultimately, I thought I have to try. Okay, so found a bench. You know how much I love benches. Problem was these were slightly wet benches. So I took my drone out, and in case you don't fly a drone, I can tell you the process. When you take the drone out, you have to turn the drone on. You turn the controller on, and you have to leave the drone on for a while with a clear view of the sky so that it can get the GPS lock. And it has to get about 15-20 satellite lock before it will say that it's ready to fly. In about 10 also it says, "Oh, it's risky to fly." So this is how it goes. So I left it there to warm up on the arm of the bench. It was a cement bench with wide arm. And I found that my bag was wet. The bottom was wet. It's not a clothes bag, so it was not going to go into that. But there were some little, I don't know, flowers or leaves kind of things were sticking to it. And while I was picking up the bag to look at that, two cops rode in on horses from my right hand and in front of me, and they rode by my right side, curved around me and went to do a full 90-degree turn towards the left and back of me. Okay, so you can imagine that they came from my right, rode behind me, and then they went back down to the left, and all this time they were looking at me because there was nobody else who was doing anything else interesting. I was doing something interesting because I had my backpack down and I had my drone warming up, and I had a controller around my neck. But they looked at me, I looked at them. I did not make eye contact. This is the thing I don't do. So did not make eye contact, but I kept them in my peripheral vision. They did talk to each other, but they did not do anything else. They just sauntered off towards the main entrance of the park. They did not talk to me, did not stop me, did not ask for ID or anything like that, which I think if this was a US city, they might have. Even in India, they probably would have. So Slovenian cops are cool. I like them. London also, I think they would have probably asked me. So, but this gave me more confidence as well that, okay, I know I'm doing something legally allowed, but with the cops gone through, like, sure, now I'm okay. So I did fly the drone, and there was not a lot of variety in the views. So let me show you this, and then I'll tell you the rest of the story. So as you can see, there was not a lot of variety in the park. There were lots of trees. It was like nice and pretty, and there was this house in the middle. I tried to do the same thing I had done at Lake Bohane to get the drone to track me, but the problem here was that the trees were making kind of a canopy, so the drone had to be below that, and the roads were curved. So if I moved, the drone was trying to keep me inside in frame, and then the drone had to move sideways to deal with those curves, and then sideways it doesn't have the obstacle avoidance. So I was like, okay, let's not go that crazy for it. I just stopped it. But yeah, so that was done. Then after that, I said, let's go find a toilet, because by this time I needed a loo. I came back way over a wooden bridge, which is like nice wide bridge, and there was a little restaurant, eatery, not fancy restaurant, like an eating place, more dessert place kind of place. So I went in there and asked them if they had coffee, and if they were like a waffle place, yeah. So if they had coffee and if they had a toilet, so they had both, so it was fine. And I had a little discussion. I would not call it a debate, definitely not an argument, just like a friendly discussion around. The guy was saying that they had the best tiramisu in the world, and I was saying like I will be the judge of that, because tiramisu is one of those things that I am also obsessed with. I like desserts a lot, and tiramisu is one of the best desserts in the world. So I have had it in many different countries. In Rome, it was really amazing, but in a few other places also I've had really amazing tiramisu. So I like, yeah, I will be the judge of that, but let me have some. So I ordered the tiramisu with waffle, and by the time I could, take off I had my backpack with me and the suitcase as well by this time, because I had given the car back. So went to the toilet and everything, and then after that sat down, had the tiramisu, and I had to admit it was absolutely great. So food wise, Slovenia rocks. Everywhere I had food, even if it was expensive. Mostly, I think if you go through the parts before, the food was always really, really good. And this tiramisu was really fantastic. I'll tell you the short story how I got introduced to tiramisu. One time I was working in Germany and we came back from lunch, and there was one of the secretaries. She was Beata, her name was. She was very lovely. She was distributing this tiramisu. She's like, oh, this is tiramisu. So, but it was like a homemade tiramisu that one of the managers had made. He was a French guy called Mark. And yeah, I know the tiramisu is not French, but still. So it looked a bit messy. If you have seen tiramisu, imagine if it has fallen over and it looks a bit messy and not in clear shape like a cake. So I was like, I don't know, I'll have half of it. She said, take the full slice and then give half to somebody else. I said, okay. So I took the full slice and tasted one spoonful, and it was like heaven in my mouth. It was absolutely mind-blowing. I had just had lunch and I loved it so much. So later, like a second later, somebody else came in asking, like, somebody wanted to give away half of their tiramisu. I turned my face towards the wall. I am not ashamed to say, I just ignored that I had said anything like that or that anybody existed. I finished that whole slice by myself. It was that good. And this tiramisu in Slovenia, it was matching with that. It was that good. So after that, and the coffee they had, the latte macchiato was also really nice. So I just, I was comfortable. The place was not very crowded and I had food and coffee. So I just sat there and wrote my postcards, which I had to send. So 8 postcards. So another good thing here was that there was a metal thing on the side. So I could clamp my camera to this and then it could capture me in a wide shot writing the postcards and eating my tiramisu and all of that. So I did that. Then after that, I still had time for my flight. My flight was in the evening. So I went to another place called Metelkova Mesto and used the bus to go there. And this place is famous because it has a lot of graffiti on the walls. It's like a big area. It's not just a wall. It's like a huge area where you can walk through. And I don't know what day it was now. I don't think it was the weekend, but there's nothing open. It's just like everything is like the cottages, rooms, everything is just closed, but you can see. It feels a little bit like you're walking through a post-apocalyptic land. It's very empty. There were some people, other tourists there as well, but it felt a little bit weird. And the quality of the art also, of course, art is very personal, so you might like it more than I do. But I remember this graffiti wall in Belgium, Ghent city. There's a long wall in an alley, and then both sides the people can do graffiti, they do their art. And I think that was much better art-wise than this place. This place, it was like lots of huge letters. Just people written huge letter than actual art. So anyway, it's just my personal opinion that it was not that great. So if you go to Slovenia, you can't make time for it. Yeah, don't bother. Okay, so after that, it was time to go to the airport, and I needed some extra time because I wanted to go by bus. Okay, I wanted to make it cheaper this time. I had come by shuttle, which was 12 euros. This time I went by a local bus, which is like a special service that goes from outside the main central station. So I walked to the station, found it by Google Maps. It was alright, it was easy. And then central bus station. This is Ljubljana central bus station. And there's a number of the bus is there, and then you can wait at the stop. I think it was about an hour's wait. It was quite a long wait in that weather. But it was not late. I was just early. And that driver was very strict because I had a small cabin bag with a trolley bag. He said, suitcase in the hold. And he did not speak very much English, just a few words. And I was like, this is very small, I can just keep it. Nope, in the hold. Okay, fine. So I went down and put it in the hole, and I paid for that from contactless, and it was only €3.50 for the airport. So I think that's pretty good deal. It was about a half an hour's drive, and the bus was really comfortable. I found seats, nobody sitting next to me, easy. Once I got to the airport, I still had more time, so I went to the same cafe, the Lolita cafe that I had been there before, and ordered the same caprese sandwich. This time they kind of disappointed me because first of all they messed up my order. as in I had been waiting for about, I think, maybe 20 minutes or half an hour, when the waiter came back to me. It's like, I'm sorry, they made the wrong one. They made it with meat, so they're making the right one now. So we'll bring it out. Okay, so fine, another 10 minutes wait, and then they brought it, and it was soggy. I don't know why it was soggy. Maybe they made it with meat and then took the meat out and used the same slices. I don't know. It tasted nice. It was still very nice, but it was just soggy. So soggy sandwich is not as great as like a dry sandwich. That was my only complaint. They gave me a discount because of the weight. I think it was, they charged me £4 instead of 8 or 12, something like that. They gave me quite a good, like more than 50% discount on that because of the weight and the mistake and all that. It's fine. And the coffee there, coffee was nice. So from there was nothing else to do but to just, check in. Ljubljana staff was nice. The security staff, I always talk about that as well when I'm traveling. And I had an aisle seat this time, but there was nobody in the middle seat, so it was like a comfortable sitting situation, and no turbulence or anything, and the landing was also good. None of that, the aligning to the glide path with big jumps, nothing like that. It was okay. And in UK, it was 1 minute at the E-gate. Now they have E-gates, and they have lots of E-gates. They have like maybe 20 or 30 in a row. So if you have a UK passport or a European passport, you can just go through that. And most times I have found that there's not even a queue because there are so many gates that it just keeps people moving along, and it takes like a minute. So that was quite okay. Then I came out of Gatwick, and it was raining, like drizzling, and it was grey skies, not grey sky, dark skies by now, and depressing weather. But what else is new? This is UK weather most of the time. I had booked a hotel for Premier Inn, and what happened was that I went to the wrong Premier Inn. I didn't know there were two in the same area, so went to the wrong one. Then I had to walk out and then go to the right one, and that was also crowded. Machine check-in, found it, and finally, I'm sounding bored, aren't I? It was boring. The whole hotel thing, it was quite boring. But yeah, so I had to stay there for that night because my last train from London to Doncaster is like 11:30 p.m. and because of the flight coming in, I have to make allowances in case the flight is an hour late, hour and a half. So I should be able to absorb that much. And that much, I did not have time to actually make the last train because I would have to take a shuttle to there. It takes about an hour to go from Gatwick Airport to the King's Cross station. So I had booked the hotel for that. But actually, if I wanted to, I could have made it. But it would be like more stress. I don't want stress. So this hotel was about 68 quid, I think, for the night. So which was a reasonably good thing. Otherwise, you have to book the train in advance as well. So everything has to be booked in advance, so you don't know what's going to happen. But next time I might try that and then take a chance on having an expensive train or having an expensive hotel room. But for this time, it was quite okay. So this is the end of the Slovenia trip. I'm not going to talk about the next day because that was just traveling back to Doncaster. But the next video that's coming up, if you have not seen the other videos, you might not know. My next trip was to Paris in the winter to enjoy the celebrations of the New Year's Eve there. And that was an incredible, phenomenal trip because of that. And I'm sure that you would want to see that. So I would like you to subscribe so that you don't miss the next video, which is going to be about Paris. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.